What's up, y'all? Brix from Brix Fitness. Before I get into the video, this is a video for beginner level. I want to say beginner-ish. You may know your way around the gym. You may be approaching moderate level. I still think this video can help you. With that being said, I have a program for beginners. It's a 12-week transformation jumpstart program. It's basically every question that I've gotten about my transformation over the last 5 years, and I put it all in one place. It's an easy to follow PDF. It gives you mindset coaching. It gives you how to build your own meal plans. It gives you the basics on nutrition, and it gives you 12 weeks of compound exercises. Pick that up at brixfitness.com. All the links are down below. So usually when someone weight trains, they have one of 4 goals, which is normally fat loss, hypertrophy, which is muscle building, endurance, or strength. The very first thing I want you to do is to clearly identify what your goal is. There are specific styles of training for each one of those goals, so it's very important that you know exactly what you're trying to achieve. So I get the question all the time, how can I burn fat and build muscle at the same time? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible, and no, it's not possible. It depends on a lot of factors, but the biggest factor being your genetics. But in theory, and to keep this video super simple, let's say that burning fat and building muscle are 2 different processes. So there are 3 factors that separate the style of training between all 4 of these different goals. For one, it's gonna be rest time. Tempo, which is the speed at which you execute your reps, particularly the eccentric part of the lift, which is the downward motion. So the tempo is normally represented by 3 or 4 numbers. You'll see it in the program. So everyone on my Jumpstart program, I have it written in 3 numbers. It's simpler. 4 represents how many seconds the eccentric part. So let's say for a bicep curl, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 is how much time at the bottom, which is no time. So if it's 0, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, right back up. And 3 is the concentric part. 1, 2, 3. So tempo matters a lot. But anyway, let's move on. The third aspect that separates the style of training is volume, which is basically the number of reps and sets that you perform in a given program each week. I'm pretty sure most people watching this video is either going to be interested in fat loss or muscle gain. So first I'm going to talk about the most effective way to train for fat loss. First and foremost, my advice would be to use mostly compound movements, which is movements that use more than one body part at a time. I would go about medium volume, 24 to 36 sets of 12 to 15 reps per week per body part. And I'm gonna say this a few times, these are just guidelines. There's no one size fits all for everyone. That's why it's super important for you to experiment. Use this video as a guideline. And when you're training for fat loss, you wanna train in a rep range that allows you to recover in between sets in less than a minute and a half. So 60 to 90 seconds of rest. And if you go too heavy, you will not be able to recover in time, and therefore it'll affect the fat burning effectiveness of your workout. So I would train at about 65 to 75% of your 1 rep max, and I'll do a whole separate video about your 1 rep max. But basically you want the weight to be heavy enough to challenge you, but it'll also allow you to recover quick enough in between sets. So you want to tinker around with the weights and figure out a weight that works best for your specific goal. But dig this, with this style of training, beyond what they call newbie gains, you won't be able to put on any new muscle, and it will not improve your strength. You will, however, maintain your current muscle, which is key for people in a caloric deficit trying to lose fat, and you will also condition your muscles. Not to mention, you'll create a metabolic environment in your body that will cause you to burn fat practically all day, which does not happen when you're just doing cardio. Keep that in mind. But let me give you some advice. I wouldn't strictly stick to the style of training that I described for fat loss. Yes, this style of training will be your main focus, but for long-term success in weight loss, you will need to incorporate strength and hypertrophy style training as well. Now let's talk about the style of training when you want to build muscle. With this style of training, you'll also be using mostly compound movements, but you will use isolation movements for the body parts that you want to focus on developing. For instance, if you have small biceps, you definitely will be doing bicep curls. If you want to develop your rear delts, you'll focus on doing exercises that target that rear delt specifically. For hypertrophy style training, you want to make sure that your body has symmetry, so you want to focus on the areas that need help the most. With hypertrophy training, your volume is increased. You'll be doing about 36 to 50 sets per week, and you'll want to stay in that 8 to 12 rep range doing about 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max. Just to explain what your 1 rep max is, and there's a test for this, and again, I'm gonna do a separate video on this. Your 1 rep max, for the people who are not familiar, is basically the amount of weight that you can lift for 1 rep. This 1 rep max determines how much weight you should be lifting according to whatever your specific goals are. So for instance, if your 1 rep max is 100 pounds, if you're training for muscle, you need to be training at 70 to 80 pounds in that 8 to 12 rep range in order to effectively stimulate muscle growth in your body. Now with hypertrophy training, you want to rest between 60 to 120 seconds. It's a little bit more rest than your fat burning style, but it's still low rest nevertheless. It's super important to keep that burn going. The more time your muscle is under tension, the more little tears that you create in your muscle, the more muscle you will build. Again, this is just a guideline, guys. Your rest time is super important. The tempo at which you're training is super important, and the amount of sets and reps that you get in each week is very important. Each goal has a very specific number, and that number changes from person to person. But this is a good guideline. This is a really good guideline. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Please take a moment right now and hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Shout out to the Brix squad. I love you guys. Go to brixfitness.com. I have meal plans. I have online coaching slots. I also have apparel, so go check that out. And as always, guys, I'm just trying to share the wellness. So get well and get money.